Chat, it finally happened. Oh my god. Russell T Davies finally let somebody else have a go. Meet the new writers of Season 2. The TARDIS is about to get a whole lot bigger. We finally got confirmation that the next season of Doctor Who, Season 2/Series 15, has got some brand new writers, and all of them, sans one, are brand new to writing Doctor Who for TV. The new writers for Season 2, we have Juno Dawson, Inua Ellams, Pete McTeague, and Sharma Angel Walfall. Russell T Davies, showrunner, says Doctor Who takes its talent from a glittering galaxy of names, and these extraordinary writers span the skies. We've got old hands, new stars, voices of theatre, radio and literature, the whole works. It's the most wild and exciting season of Doctor Who yet. I can't wait to unleash their brilliant work. Meet the 4 writers joining Russell T Davies in Season 2, and we have JPEGs. We have JPEGs on the Doctor Who website. This is Juno Dawson, #1 Sunday Times bestselling novelist, screenwriter and journalist, whose books include the global bestsellers This Book is Gay and Her Majesty's Royal Coven. Dawson created the first official Doctor Who scripted podcast, Doctor Who Redacted. This isn't Juno Dawson's first foray into the Doctor Who universe other than Redacted. She also wrote a Torchwood, like Charlie's Angels homage, which was an awful lot of fun. That was actually recommended to me by one of my patrons as well. TFL Creative Media recommended that one to me, so I picked it up and it's really fun. We also mentioned her in the Class retrospective review, where had Class, the best Doctor Who spin-off, got a second season. She was going to write a story for that second season about Tanya, and it was going to be like a Ferris Bueller's Day Off homage. So, you know, we are truly living in the darkest timeline where we did not get a Class season 2, but also she wrote the 13th Doctor novel, The Good Doctor, which is considered to be one of the best pieces of 13th Doctor expanded media, up there with the Jodie Hauser Titan comic stuff, and also The Collateral of Ivanhoe written by some guy, I don't know. Juno Dawson says, I started watching Doctor Who with my grandma when I was 10 years old in the 1990s. From writing fanfiction for an audience of 1 to scripting the best TV show of all time is truly a dream come true. I can't wait for fans and newcomers to see the new season. So, Juno Dawson as well, she was one of the co-hosts of the Doctor Who official podcast during the 60th anniversary specials as well. So I don't know if this has been in the works for that long, or one led to the other, I don't know. But Juno Dawson, honestly, I heard her name in the rumblings from the official rumour mill a few months ago, and I'm really glad that this is a rumour that turned out to be correct, because I think that Juno Dawson has been, like, skirting the edges of Doctor Who proper for a long time, and now, having paid her dues, for a lack of a better term, in the expanded universe, she's finally getting to prove herself proper in the universe proper, and I can't wait to see what she writes. Next up, we have Inua Ellams, writer and curator, whose published books of poetry include Candy-Coated Unicorns and Converse All-Stars, and The Actual. His first play, The 14th Tale, was awarded a Fringe First at the Edinburgh International Theatre Festival, and other plays include Barbershop Chronicles, which played at the National Theatre, Three Sisters, and The Half-God of Rainfall. So the Barbershop Chronicles, you can actually watch on the National Theatre Live website. I do not have a subscription to National Theatre Live, unfortunately. I really want one. I'm just waiting for a period when I've got like maybe a week or 2 free, just a pure block, where I can get a National Theatre at Home subscription and then watch all of the plays that I really want to watch. And when I really want to try and check out, though, Barbershop Chronicles before this new season drops, because that's probably the only way I'm going to be able to watch Inua Ellams' work prior to the next season of Doctor Who dropping. That's the thing about theatre. Theatre is a brilliant art form, but it's harder to, it's harder to spread it unless you're recording it. So that's probably going to be the only piece of work of his I'm going to be able to watch. I do think you can get the 14th Tale script, though, if you are Inua Ellams Doctor Who Season 2 writers completionist, if you're so inclined. But Inua also let slip that it's airing in April. Oh, it was Inua who did it, eh? Yeah, I saw this. This was on Instagram. I'm surprised this Instagram hasn't been nuked from orbit now because of this. Remember when John Bishop was doing the press tour for Doctor Who Flux, and all he could say was, my character's a plasterer from Liverpool, and apparently he got told off for that, even though there's no confirmed plastering in Doctor Who Flux. We were denied the extensive deleted scenes of Dan the Plasterer. Anyway, I can't believe RTD, Bad Wolf, and the BBC allow a Nigerian into the TARDIS. I wanted to do a heap of silly things, travel back in time, copy the blueprints for the pyramids, rewrite Ghana's constitution in Nigeria's favour, or just give Henrietta Lacks a hug, but I had to be responsible. You have to see what we actually did. Thanks for the messages, love you all, etc, etc. Did he edit it? Where's the April bit? The original version of this post, which he's either edited or it's been deleted and re-uploaded, said the new series drops in April and May. Oh, okay. So this guy wasn't shot via Bad Wolf BBC sniper, but was instead made to edit the post. Okay. Damn. Those are some real BBC budget cuts. So we can't afford the sniper. A trans woman and 2 black people on the writing staff are going to give people like Mel and Riley free rage bait ammo for this. Well, to be fair, they were going to complain no matter what. Like, for example, the big prevailing conspiracy theory around Chris Chibnall's era of Doctor Who was that he was secretly Jewish, and that's why he was making Doctor Who deliberately bad on purpose to destroy white culture or whatever. That was a pretty prominent conspiracy theory in, like, reactionary Doctor Who Nazi circles. So even if there weren't any, like, quote, diverse writers on the next season of Doctor Who, they would have just made them up. They would have just said something, so that doesn't really matter. But in this case, I think it's really great that with Gina Dawson, you got a best-selling writer, best-selling novelist who's also done a lot of Doctor Who expanded media. You've got Inuit Elms, who's done a lot of plays and also art curation by the sounds of it. Pete Matigue, who, you know, is probably the least surprising name here, but I'm happy he's here. We'll touch on him a bit more later. And also Sharma Angel Wolfall, who is a TV writer, has been participating in writers' rooms as well. You know, this is a good, diverse group, not just because of their gender or because of their race or because of their experience writing Doctor Who previously. It's basically the mediums that they've come from. It's basically their backgrounds as well, whether it be TV, whether it be theatre or art curation, whether it be the expanded media or the next Doctor Who spin-off, The War Between the Land and Sea. That's a good haul of writers. That's a, you know, I have been saying for ages that Doctor Who desperately needs new blood, and while I do think that it needs new blood at the top, I think that Russell T Davies, Jane Tranter, I couldn't resist. I do think that they need to step aside to let new blood take over, so it's not literally the same creative team that have been making Doctor Who for over 20 years now. Getting brand new writers to start writing for the show is the best way to foster that creativity, and I'm so disappointed it didn't start with season 1. And it's starting with season 2. Pete Matigue will already be known to fans as he wrote the 13th Doctor episodes Kablam and Praxius with Chris Chibnall, and is a writer and executive producer on the forthcoming spin-off The War Between the Land and the Sea. He has created, written or exec dramas including The Pact, The Rising, A Discovery of Witches, and Wentworth. Pete says, the TARDIS is my home away from home, so it's been a joy to step back inside with Russell at the console and the incredible team at Bad Wolf hanging on for dear life. I love the show with all my heart, and I'm really proud of what I've been able to achieve with my next episode. I know that they only have to get like 2 paragraphs of information here, but also Pete Matigue was the writer of the collection box sets, like trailers, those little short films that establish what Ace has been doing since she left the TARDIS, what Peri's been up to with King Yrcanos, Leela in the Time War. Those shorts, those vignettes were written by Pete Matigue as well. So whatever you say about his quality of his scripts, he's indisputably a fan. I think that Kablam is really good up until the 3rd act, when it becomes neoliberal nonsense. And Praxius, I'll defend Praxius. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think that Praxius, you could have plucked Praxius out of like season 8 or season 9 of the Pertwee era, and it would fit right in. It does really fit into the Barry Letts and Terrance Dicks like economy of storytelling and the vibes and, you know, the themes that it's going for, the microplastics. I actually think that Praxius is a really good example of politics incorporated in Doctor Who, where it's there to instigate the threat of the story without saying, this is what we're about. You know, it's actually a nice undercurrent to the story that's topical, but it's not overwhelming. I think the Praxius is really good. He also wrote the Kablam novel, which I've not read yet. From what I've heard, it doesn't change or fix the ending. Anyway, and finally, Sharma Angel Wolfall, originally hailing from Manchester. and won the inaugural Channel 4 New Writing Award that set her off on her screenwriting journey. She wrote an episode of Dreamland for Sky, starring Lily Allen and Freema Agyeman, and has been in a number of writers' rooms, including Super Self for Netflix, Renegade Nell for Disney+, A Town Called Malice for Sky, and Noughts and Crosses for the BBC. Noughts and Crosses, also another Doctor Who connection, was written by Mallory Blackman, who wrote Rosa for the Chibnall era. Sharma says, I'm buzzing to be part of such an iconic show. I'm a massive Rusty Davis fan, so it's a dream come true to be able to work alongside him, especially on a show that I love. It's a real privilege to be a part of the Doctor Who family. I've loved every minute. So, I'm assuming, with this confirmation of these 4 writers, that Stephen Moffat is not writing another story for the next season, otherwise we probably would know by now. I don't understand why they'd keep that under wraps. So unless we have one of these 4 writing a 2-parter, it's safe to assume that they're writing half of the season while Russell is tackling the other half, including a 2-part finale, presumably. You know, Russ writes episode 1, Juna writes episode 2, Russell writes episode, etc., etc. So we don't really know anything about who is writing what episode specifically at this point. It's way too early to comment on that. I'm surprised we don't have episode titles yet. If the season is dropping in April, you know, Inua Ellams. But anyway, so if it is dropping in April through to May, then we should be getting the confirmation of the directors and the blocks and everything very shortly. But yeah, like, I don't know too much about their work. I've watched some of Dreamland. I know Pete Mateegue's work, obviously. I think it's very fitting that one of the last things that Pete Mateegue worked on was a BBC drama called The Pact. And with the response to these new writers for the next season of Doctor Who, there have been allegations of wokeness. There have been allegations of you know, DEI hires and diversity hires and stuff like that, which basically is just dog whistles. But, you know, we all know that people like Philip Morris would just be saying the N-word if there wasn't any big stigma against it. When it comes to The Pact, which is a series about a Welsh family, there's this brilliant interview on BBC Breakfast where Reiki Iola just shoots down the accusations that The Pact is a woke series, and it's a woke series just because it has black people in it. That is the beginning and end of the discussion. That's why it's called woke. And Reiki Iola does this incredible rebuttal that even the host of the BBC interview just has nothing to say against.
There are some people who will see this and they'll say that this is a woke version of a Welsh family. I can see you rolling your eyes.
Woke version of a Welsh family is just black Welsh family. I have to preface this enough. That's what it is.
Tell me.
If anybody wants to say that to me, what I would say first is explain what you mean by woke and then we can have the conversation. If you can't explain it, don't hand me that word. Don't use a word you cannot describe because you don't know what you mean. Or maybe you know exactly what you mean and you're afraid to say what you mean. So let's have that conversation. Not even afraid, you daren't. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Sit there and tell me what you mean by woke. And then we can talk about whether this show is woke or not, because then I will introduce you to a family just like this one. So are you saying they don't exist when they clearly do? Are you saying that they're not allowed to exist? What do you mean by that? Let's have a proper conversation. Don't throw words around willy-nilly when you're not afraid to say exactly what you mean. If you don't know, please be quiet because you are incredibly boring.
Absolutely. Reiki telling us how it is. Reiki...
She has no response to that as well. She was not expecting such a thoughtful response to such a fucking thoughtless question as well. Because she basically was asking, let's just cut through the pretense. This host was asking Reiki Iola, should black people be on TV? And she gave such a strong, dignified response. It's absolutely galling that question was asked on BBC News. It's the worst. Anyway, so yeah, keep that in mind when you talk about DEI hires or whatever when it comes to Doctor Who, okay? Keep that conversation in mind, because we have a lineup of incredibly promising writers, and also Pete Mateegue. No, I'm kidding. No, I like the first 2/3 of Kablam, and, The Pact is really strong. I've not watched A Discovery of Witches or Wentworth, though. I only have so much time in the day, but he has got experience. He does have kudos. He's done a really good job on other dramas as well, including ones for the BBC like The Pact, which was a huge hit for the BBC as well. So there we go. And like I said, we're drawing from different backgrounds as well, whether it be TV, Doctor Who, exec dramas, theatre and art curation, the expanded universe and novelist. It's a good team. I think Russell has assembled a really good team here. I just hope that he's able to pick up the slack from the last season, personally. Pink Lady got shut down, yep. The wokies are at it again, existing. Yep, that's what it comes down to. Anyway, but it's kind of like what you've seen in America recently as well, with like those plane crashes, and they've been blaming it on DEI hires, and then it turns out that the planes were being piloted by white, cis, straight, like, men, and it, like, it was what? Which is the one responsible for the cartoon coming to life. I'm assuming that's a Russell script, because the rumor is the cartoon episode is the second one, which takes place in that seaside theatre that we saw Shooty and Verada in front of in the vintage clothing with the Harbingers. I'm assuming almost anything to do with the Harbingers will be Russell. That's my guess. Yeah, Mr. Titus, as an American, I have to say I'm sorry. I live in a nation with some horribly dumb people. We are the United Kingdom. We cannot talk. We can't claim much moral high ground. We're basically 4 or 5 years behind America right now, okay? We cannot claim high ground.